We have Sharky, who's the founder of Toronto Entrepreneurs and Startups. And our additional guest today is Terry Coutinez. Hi, Terry. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm good. Thank you. So how's your week been?
So far, good. So far, good. It was a busy couple days, but now I have some time to, relax. But the week's definitely not over.
Definitely. So Terry's from the Humble Agency, and it's a marketing agency. So we can't wait to hear you speak about it.
So we have a heavy echo from Terry's end.
Yes, Terry, if
To
you can turn down your speakers a little bit, that might help.
Okay, let me see what I can do here.
All right.
Gotta love technology, right?
Yes, we're just setting up for the session today. Sharky's working on the tech end of things, and we were waiting for Terry to fix his equipment.
Is that better?
That's a little bit better. Yeah, we can make do with that. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Otherwise, if I go any lower, I'm not going to be able to hear any of you.
Oh, well, we appreciate you just hanging in there while we set everything up. So we're live on AirMeet and Facebook. YouTube is probably going to be set up soon, so let's just give it a minute for that as well. And for anybody who is joining us on Clubhouse, I'm going to share the link and just say it out loud. Let's see. Sharky, have you started that room yet? Okay, I don't know. We haven't started the room yet, apparently. But that's okay. So we have a lot of streaming going on here, as you can tell. But why don't we start? And you can tell us a little bit about what the Humble Agency is all about.
Yes. Do you want the short version or the long version?
Well, we know you started from the entertainment industry, which is always interesting. So I'd love to hear about how from that, and then how you and your business partner Corey started the Humble Agency.
Yeah, perfect. So I think it was about 15. I was 15 years old, 16 years old when I fell in love with like DJing and mixing music and all that. And then I think it was around the time when I was 20, like anywhere between 18 and 20 is when Facebook really started to come out. And then within that like 5 year range, I was also becoming more popular as a DJ. And, I played like various nightclubs downtown and whatnot. And then, I had to obviously gain popularity and exposure through Facebook. And then from there, Instagram came through. And once Instagram came through, that opened up a whole entire world to get like more people to kind of just fall in love with what I do, right? I ended up scaling my Instagram page as like a micro influencer. I guess like that's what they call them nowadays. Just it was about 50. I think I got about 15,000 followers there, and then I took about 2-3 months of not posting anything because I was going through like a career transition. So I ended up losing like 5,000 followers. But nonetheless, from that point on, when I decided to make that change in and around when I hit 30, I decided I didn't want the late nights anymore, and I switched careers and went into photography and cinematography, which is, an asset that I bring to my agency today because I still do it. Anytime I get like a client or a client needs those types of services. So, I then had to turn around and scale a second business now, right? Because I changed from being like a musician to being a photographer and a cinematographer. All one and the same, realistically, in my opinion. but still took different like marketing strategies. Again, I've been doing that for about 3 years now. It took me about 11 months without zero marketing whatsoever, completely all organic, just posting once a day. I ended up getting to 3,600 followers on my photography page. I feel like for me that's good enough for what I'm doing. But I can always get more. Now, through cinematography, that's how I met Corey, and because he comes from similar backgrounds. He comes also from the love of music, but he's also a really good actor. and I casted him for a show that I'm doing. And pretty much we got to talking. We had like a little mini bromance. And from that bromance, he was like, "Hey bro, like you and I can we know how to scale things. Like it's about time maybe we can put our good knowledge and do it for other people." So I sat back and I go, "Yeah, that's a really good idea." Couple months of brainstorming, and then lo and behold, the humble agency is born. Don't look at this, okay? This is just this is a different company of like a beard company that I guess sponsors me. But nonetheless, we started working together. We started brainstorming of how we're going to do things, price points, what we really want to offer, so on and so forth. That started in the midst of a pandemic. So we did kind of like a soft launch in August. Took, that time from August to about December to do all those like trials and tribulations and, figuring out what's going to work for us. So I would say comfortably we've been in business for probably like 3-4 months max, but it's been great ever since.
That's great. Andrea and I are actually wondering if you had a DJ name.
Oh.
And which clubs? Maybe we were there.
Yeah, so I've played at I used to be the resident DJ on the Trist patio. I used to be a resident DJ at the Maison Mercer patio. I've played clubs that don't even exist anymore, like Mink.
Oh my goodness.
Metro was a fun one.
It brings back so much memories when you're saying like Trist and Mink. So those of you who are listening, if you know these clubs, please like and comment that you know what we're talking about. Then we know you're the cool ones.
I think they're constructing a huge tower on Mercer now. Probably they shut down the whole block. So we're sad to see these fun places go, but hopefully new ones will come out soon. So anyway, you're saying.
and then from there, pretty much, I as I started building more of like an underground presence, that's when I got into the government, the comfort zone, Lily Lounge on College Street. I had, what was it called? Like I don't know. There's just some like really like run of the gun after hours places, I guess. That led me to Montreal, where I had a residency at Circus After Hours in Montreal, and then I'd play a bunch of festivals in like Europe throughout the summer because they kept calling me back in Europe. DJ name wise, I went by Terry Funk. I know there's a wrestler with that name. I did not get the name from the wrestler. For those of you who are wrestling fans that are listening, there's a lot of songs out there, like, that Who's Got the Funk Phenomenon, yada, yada, yada. So a buddy of mine just, correlated those songs with the name, and he kept singing them every single time I would enter a room. So that's kind of how the name came about.
Terry Funk. We like that.
I just want to let everyone know tech is set up. My job is done. So we're live on YouTube, which is great. So I posted a link there. And we're also live on Facebook, both in our group and in our Facebook page for the first time. So this is public. So usually we do it, it's just in a group, so it's not public. Now I put it on the page as public. So I'm going to tag you guys on it, and if you guys could share it, that would be great. Now all your friends and family can watch us on Facebook. Yeah, so everything's set up.
Great. Can we also set up a Clubhouse, please?
Yeah, set up on Clubhouse as well. I forgot to mention that. So.
All right, so I guess we were talking about your DJ name too. Let's talk more about Humble Agency, Terry, in terms of, so we know your background, then you started Humble Agency, and then, reading a bit about Humble Agency, and you have been on our TES Connect. I think you were part of our first or second one anyways, which was awesome. So, and I know you guys pride yourself on being like the, sort of A to Z company for digital marketing companies. And, nowadays, oh my gosh, there's so many digital marketing companies out there, and especially even in our TES community. So would love to know and have you share with us how the Humble Agency and how you guys are really different, and how you service your clients.
Yeah, it's a great question. Loaded question. I like it. So I think once the pandemic hit, and even before, so from what I noticed, there are a lot of agencies that, even though, yes, they work within certain sectors, they're just so quick to grab anybody that comes through the door, right? We are the type of agency that we focus more on if we can actually help you, as opposed to, the services that we provide. The services are secondary, right? It's more so, one, are you in a sector that we have even the slightest knowledge of? And two, if we do have the slightest knowledge of it, can we help? Right? I feel like a lot of agencies, they just want to grab people. It doesn't matter. They're just ready to push. Oh, I do SEO. Oh, I do digital. Oh, I do Google. Oh, I can do this, that, whatever, right? And that's where a lot of the screening comes in too with what we do. We have a pretty decent screening process. I mean, sure, there are people that kind of slip through the cracks, and we do tend to get poor judgment from time to time. And then, I'm sure everybody, has done the handful of wasted meetings before. But yeah, we try our best to figure out solutions and figure out how we can always get to the right individual, and knowing that we can help those people. What we do is we have a tool in-house called the Snapshot Report. And what this tool does, which is really, really interesting, is it's almost like an auditing tool, but it fishes out all the business's online pain points. So a lot of people, I see a lot of agencies make the mistake of, for example, saying, oh, well, how much is this going to cost me? Well, it's going to cost you $2,000, right? And then they're just ready to spitball that number without even knowing what that business needs. And they're just ready to say whatever they think they can sell them on Google, SEO, so on and so forth. With us, this snapshot report, because it pretty much gives us the entire analytics of your whole entire online presence, and it pretty much gives us almost like a grading system in 7 to 8 different categories. It's a completely different conversation when we speak to somebody, because a lot of the time you also find that people jump into digital marketing, and then what's the one major thing that you'll always hear, and I'm sure you've said it before yourself, is, oh, I don't want to do digital marketing because it didn't work for me in the past, right? But there's always the why, right? Why didn't it work out? And 90% of the time, it's because somebody fed you some crap that you didn't need, right? With us, it's more so of saying not what you want, which is, okay, I've had customers say, oh, well, we're looking to do Facebook ads. Okay, that's fantastic. But until we run our report, for example, it might not really be Facebook ads that you need. Like you might need Google My Business, you might need SEO, you might need whatever, right? And yeah, I think that's like really helped us in terms of like working with the proper people and in the proper sectors. And COVID especially has what's the word I'm looking for? It's almost made people realize that money, I guess, in a sense, can come and go at any given moment, and it's a very scary situation. But at the same time, those people that find value in advertising their business will come out on top, right? It's not always necessarily needed for everybody. There are certain like tools and stuff that you can use that'll help you do things better. But I guess the biggest thing that I like to say in that sense is you can't win a war without an army, right? And there's like a lot of business owners that want to penny pinch and they want to do everything themselves, and that's fantastic. But for example, coming from a photographer background, right? If I was to speak on in terms of photography, if I'm somebody that has this much knowledge on how digital marketing works, and I'm trying so hard to glue myself to the computer to figure out exactly what it is that I'm going to do to scale my business, I'm never going to have time to actually take a picture. And that's the most important part. And that's kind of what I try and not sell the business owner on, but advise them that, like, hey, we're here to, like, there's people out here that want to help. Like, don't feel like you're alone and that you got to do everything by yourself, you know?
Terry, I have a question for you, and that's as a small business owner, like if I were to run a small business and I was new to this whole advertising thing, I had no idea where to start. Where is the best place to start with your knowledge of social media and marketing?
Yeah.
And does it depend on the type of business?
I think the type of business plays a small role. I think from that point on, what I would try and figure out in like a consultation that I would have with the individual that I'm speaking with is pretty much figure out where they've spent the most time and where their general audience is mainly coming from, right? And then kind of hit them where like hit the market where it's hot initially for that business, and then slowly as that grows and then more income comes through the door, then you can slowly start tackling everything else. Now that doesn't necessarily mean forget about everything else, right? Like, don't just focus on your Facebook and then slack on your website and then slack on your Instagram, right? It should kind of all cohesively work together, but it does happen, where somebody does fail in one area but exceeds in another just because of they see that there's more value being brought from that one area, right? That's kind of how I would go with it, is just find where the audience for your business is coming from first, mainly, and then kind of start working away from that point.
So you talked earlier, obviously, like COVID's taught us many lessons, right? Like you were talking about how, money and cash flow can go out the door at any time. You can lose clients, because I came from an events background and there are no more events, at one point. So you had to find a different way to make money, right? So what are some other lessons, whether personally, personally for your business, that COVID has taught you, and how have you really thrived during COVID?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that's helped me the most, and I have to say that I learned this one from my wife. Um, Pay yourself first, right? Like no matter what, whether you I mean whatever buttload of debt you might have or whatever expenses you occur, just pay yourself first. And whether that means like you put $100, $200, $1,000, depending on the situation, right? Knowing that you have that, and then taking that and also investing in yourself, right? Investing it like at the end of the day, nobody is really gonna care about you more than you, right? We're all here busy. We're all trying to do our own thing. So if you're someone who's like not willing to, take that and reinvest it in yourself to do something better with how it is that you're paying yourself, then I think you're always going to be like scratching your head and kind of feeling like you're not getting anywhere. Um, and I remember having a conversation with somebody, and people were like, well, how do you get into this market right now? It's so saturated. It's like there's so many things coming now, right? But the reality is it's always going to be saturated. It's not going to stop. It's never going to stop, right? And I'm sure we can all list a minimum of 5 people right now that we look up to, right? That are more or less pioneers in the industry, right? But they got to where they are not only by having something valuable that they can offer, but investing into their own brands and investing into their own companies, right? Sure, it might have taken them 5 years, 10 years, 15 years to get there, but that's why, you know, that's why we look up to them. And then essentially it's almost like it's not going to get any better the more digital that you go. So why not take steps to be the pioneer 10, 15 years from now for the next generation instead of focusing on why you can't get to where you are right at this very moment?
Awesome. Another question. So earlier you were talking about a few slipped through the crack, right? In terms of certain clients. Would love to hear, for those who are, like you said, right? Some people take all the clients that they can because they don't really have a choice. But would love to hear, what some of your if you had that ideal client or the not ideal client, like tell us more about like when someone's sort of starting off, about some of the lessons you learned about choosing your clients and how to keep them.
Yeah, I would say my ideal client is somebody who's fresh, somebody who might be a year in business, maybe 2 years. Somebody who's done very minuscule like marketing. Um, I like working with those business owners just because their marketing efforts, for starters, they are easier to mold and make something out of them. Like especially like even when I get like a snapshot report back, for example, and they have a higher grading system. Those higher grading systems, yes, I can still tweak and like get those to either B's or A's or even or whatever, but there's not a lot of room to grow. And I feel like those businesses that have been around for a very long time, they're also set in their ways of how they want things done, and sometimes they don't really leave a lot of room to like a lot of wiggle room to the agency to kind of get their job done. Where newer owners, they're willing to kind of try things out more, and they're willing to be a little bit more flexible and bendable and see how things work. Another type of client that is my favorite type of client are long-term clients, right? And the reason why I like long-term clients over short-term clients is for the simple fact that I really like growing with companies, right? I'm a firm believer of loyalty. I'm a very loyal person, right? With my friends, with my family, with business, with anything that I do. Like I'm that guy that's gonna be like running through the trenches for you, you know? And I bring that into business, right? Not to say if if I had some Fortune 500 company say, we have $500,000 and we want a 3-month campaign, do it. I'm not going to say no, right? That's crazy. But I like telling my clientele or my clients, it's okay if you only have like $1,000 a month or $500 a month. You know, I want to make sure that 12 months from now, you're going to be my $5,000 client. You're going to be my $10,000 client, right? And if I want to use Instagram as kind of like an analogy for a second, the biggest problem that you see on Instagram is inconsistency, right? Inconsistency through photos and videos. And the reason why you see inconsistencies is because you see a lot of individuals constantly working with different content creators, such as photographers and videographers, and they're always getting a new outcome, right? But and that's the same thing with digital marketing, right? If you are constantly changing your agency every few years, you're also going to constantly see like different ads come out, right? And you're never going to be able to stick to that same kind of pattern. And it's always better that if you're going to grow as a company, you let that agency grow with you, right? Because that way it's like, not only do I know the services that I can provide you, but now I know your business like the back of my hand, right? I know it. I know exactly everything. When you go take that now to another agency, now they got to start from scratch, right? So long-term clients and new clients or new people to the entrepreneur world are definitely my favorite people.
So can you share with us some of your success stories and what you have seen to work? Or is there anything that we can maybe show publicly? So I just put you on mute.
There you go. Yeah, in terms of success stories, you can see a bunch of case studies on my website. If you go to the case studies tabs, it's always difficult to memorize numbers and stuff to kind of just like verbally spit it out. So yeah, I always reference the case studies tab.
Is there anything that any trends or how has strategy changed since the pandemic? What has worked and what hasn't worked? And what are you doing with your clients? What kind of data points are you getting?
Yeah. So one thing that I've noticed that definitely doesn't work is lower budgets, right? Not to say that they won't do anything for you, right? Like it's just now because everybody literally had to shift everything online. It's made it so much more difficult to get people on your product. And it's always better to have, that bigger pocket to be able to like reach more people, right? I've still had, a handful of clients come to me with like under $1,000, and the beauty about digital marketing is you're never not gonna like turn away those people either, because it could very well be that $500 ad budget can still get you a client, right? even if it's mainly doing brand awareness. You really never know, and I think that's the beauty about digital marketing. It's kind of like roulette, right? But the more money you have, the more chances you get to play, and the more chances you get to win. I think when the pandemic is over, it's most likely going to go back to how it was, where yeah, you're still going to have your like top dogs that will be spending a butt ton of money. And then you're going to have you're going to be able to have like people that can coast with just a couple grand. But for those of you that are looking at, investing in digital marketing and you are starting off, I will be completely honest. I would just save your money until you have a decent enough, enough capital to spend to really make that ad campaign worth your while. Don't be fooled by agencies that will tell you, oh, we're going to get you leads in 7 days and 30 days and all that junk. In all fairness, like digital marketing, even though this is kind of common sense, but you'd be surprised how quickly we throw common sense out the window. It is a data-driven product. You cannot gain analytics in 7 days. You most definitely can't even gain analytics for the most part in 30 days. So if any agency is trying to, scoop you up for chump change, you're better off just holding on to your chump change, because you're going to be more disappointed than you were like before you decided to agree with that.
Just is any some concrete examples you can kind of bring up about how has the pandemic changed? Like for me, so I do marketing for dental offices, and since the pandemic changed, like there's big difference, right? I specialize in one niche, and there's a lot of things that just changed. A lot of things worked. A lot of Google ads got a lot more expensive, a lot more competitive. There's also opportunities in social media where we're seeing the patients are booking from that channel. For me, I'm just curious about other industries, and when you focus on dental, and that's all I know. But how are other industries faring, and have you changed techniques with your client? How you say, hey, let's turn off the switch on this and let's ramp up the spending on this because this is working.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a great point, right? Like, there definitely has been a shift in the market. I mean, prior to all this happening, or even at the beginning when all this was happening, right? Like even last summer when we first became operational, we noticed that it was like anybody and everybody was still trying to get online, and then it slowly started shifting to more pandemic proof industries where we really had to tie in we're tighten our ship essentially as to who we're really going to be like promoting and advertising to. In terms of turning on and off switches for already existing clients, no, I haven't really had to do that yet. I think I because again, like through the snapshot tool that we have, it really dials in where we should like focus our attention, and so far like it's given like really fantastic results where my clients haven't really had to say to me, hey, this doesn't work, or I have to turn to them and say, hey, I don't think this is working. It's been more so a conversation of, hey, this is working. Let's try adding this to the bunch, right? Or to the mix, right? And then it's about seeing the value in what it is that they're getting, and if they think it's gonna work out. We haven't actually done, just to answer the question at the bottom here of how much of the marketing I do is organic and percentage of it is paid. We for the Humble agency, we have yet to do our own advertising. We've done like various things here and there. We did put a decent ad budget towards, Google ads, but I don't know if this has been happening for a while, but ever since the pandemic happened or started, a lot of a lot of major agencies, they've actually racked up their ad spend to pretty much clickbait your ad, right? So I've noticed that a lot. I've noticed that, like, in my own analytics, the numbers don't add up for like the conversions, and I've been reading a lot about how, like, major agency owners are, I guess, using like some sort of bot system to click on your advertisement to run out your ad dollars. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I mean, it's not a far-fetched theory considering the fact that I've seen my own analytics. So we've just been, focusing on a lot more just, cold calling and doing like LinkedIn connections and kind of going back to like the old school way of doing things. And I know there's so many tools about like new this, new that, but if you guys, kind of take a step back and think about just like the old school methods, they're still very, very powerful, extremely powerful. And I think a lot of people, we get so congested with all these advertisements that just fill up our timelines. And it's always like, oh, I got to try this. Oh, I got to look at this. But, just be a dinosaur for a moment and just go back to the old school way. And yeah, you might have to have a little bit of thick skin. You're probably going to get called names. You're going to get a lot of people that hang up on you, but it's just the name of the game. And if you can kind of take the verbal abuse, you're going to find that diamond essentially.
That's great. I love it. You're flying through all of our questions so quickly. I guess if cold calling works, then, so does word of mouth. So why do people come to you? What sets you apart from other agencies? And I know you answered this a little bit at the beginning too, but I want to get deeper into it.
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I feel like people have to fall in love with you before your product. So if you have a good personality, if you can vibe well with the person that you're talking with, and you can just have a normal conversation and shoot the shit and so on and so forth, you're more likely to close that deal. And that's kind of how I go about things. I mean, yeah, of course, I have to do the shameless plugins and all that stuff to try and get people to even look at my website or whatever the case might be. But first and foremost, it's me trying to get you to, I guess, fall in love with me before you fall in love with my product.
That's certainly true. It's all about creating connections too, right? So that's great. I did have another question here. Let's talk about trends. I mean, just like any other industry, there are bound to be some trends on social media and the tools that you use to, put your clients out there. So what are some of the trends that you're noticing in marketing?
So I wish my partner was here to answer that question. The only reason I say that is because he and I have a almost 10-year difference in age. So he's more of the trend guy. But what I personally have seen and what I try and do is I just do a lot of research on who I'm going to be advertising for. Like one sector that we work a lot with are interior designers, right? So, oh, Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
also an interior designer. I'm in
oh,
this.
are you?
Yeah.
Awesome. So do I just call him like right now?
If you really want to know, I was kidding. I was just like, you can call him. Use a lifeline. Like,
Oh. Hey, sometimes I can be very gullible, so I'm just like, really? What? I'll call him. Yeah. Yeah. So okay, perfect. Yeah. So you're an interior designer. I mean, I'll just, I'll go on like Pinterest, or I'll go on, I'll try and maybe look up like certain like interior designer like dad jokes or like puns or something like that, and like see what's kind of like populating in the industry, and seeing like what people are posting and so on and so forth, and then try and like take those things that I've like researched on and include it in my ad copy, or include it in the video or script that I'm going to be like creating for that specific like interior designer or anybody that I'm working with. Of course, some sectors, they have to be a little bit more serious than others. You can't be like too comical, but I think if it's like done right, and I think you can easily follow trends, no problem.
I think as an interior designer, I can say this: we're a little bit uptight when it comes to the industry and advertising. So we want everything to be, in order and like by the book. But another thing that comes to mind is like one of the strategies that I've been hearing about, specifically on Instagram, is, oh, you should do posts about, something that's totally related to your business, and it's like previous work that you've done. It should be, the next post should be something personal, and then the next post should be like a mix of things, like pick three topics that you interchangeably use and you post about. Does that work for all businesses, or is it something that, it should be just catered or focused to specific businesses? And do you use that as strategy for your clients, or do you have something better in your pocket that you can share with us?
Yeah, so that is more like, it is kind of the strategy that we use. Like I just spoke about, being personable, right? Like that person needs to kind of like fall in love with you first, right?
Right,
Not
make
to
it
say
personal.
not to say that like, oh my god, like I have a yogurt in the morning too, so I have to hire her as an interior designer. You know what I mean? But like certain things that are like, slightly personable but still work within what it is that you're doing. I feel like something that is personable, something that is related to your business, of like what you've done in terms of like maybe searching something, search like throwing something up from like your portfolio, um, and then talking, maybe doing a post about the value behind why it is that you are picking certain colors or putting certain furniture in a certain room or whatever, right? I think that's really, really good. And a huge trend that I've noticed is, and this can work for quite a bit of businesses. Um, I mean, also depending on like sectors, I guess. Like, I don't think if you're like a doctor, you can really do this much, but before and afters are huge. Before and afters, really utilizing your Instagram reels, um, your live, your stories, um, live especially, right? Like I have a lot of like real estate agent friends who will literally go on live, and you'll be like, guys, I'm walking through this house right now, and I'm meeting this person, and it's selling on the market for this, and I have this, and we're staging it like that, and blah blah. Like these are things that people want to like kind of understand and get to know your process, right? And at the same time, they get to know you too.
Those are some great tips. Thank you. For someone who's a little bit camera shy, what do you recommend? Um, what do you recommend them do? And like, do you help them out with that to get over that, or do you pre-record with them? Like, do you set up sessions like that? or how do they get over that fear, I guess?
Yeah. I do record the sessions with them. Because I gotta show up and set up all the gear, all the lighting, all the microphones, and all that jazz. Um, the only tip I can give is you just got to do it. There's no real secret behind it. And also I would say directly. I mean, I know I'm not really doing it now much, so this is a bad example, but always look at the camera. Because I'm trying to talk to you guys, right, as opposed to looking here. But yeah, eye contact. You got to look at the camera. You got to enunciate your words, understand what you're saying, especially for YouTube, right? Somebody that's wanting to start like a YouTube channel, because I know especially interior designers, real estate agents, people in like your sector, not so much mortgage, but YouTube channels are not the norm in your industry, right? So one thing that I can say is 8 to 10 minute videos are your sweet spot. Advertisers actually look for 8 to 10 minute videos because it gives them more than enough wiggle room to actually slot in advertisements when you get to that point. And again, just be you on camera and just kind of, I mean, sometimes I don't always sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I do my best to make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's just about getting in front of it and doing it. Even though I was an entertainer, I wasn't always like super like camera enthusiastic. So just constantly talking, constantly getting in front of it, doing different things, moving around. It really helped me with, my camera shyness.
All right, Terry. Well, we're almost done our time here, so I want to ask this last question here before we wrap things up. So, Terry, me and my two-part question. So, first one is, what is your favorite thing about your job or running the Humble agency, and then what is your least favorite? So, I don't know if you want to start with the least favorite first, and then go to your favorite, so we end off on a high note. But yeah.
Okay. I would say my least favorite is going through those days where you blast off X amount of emails, X amount of messages, and you don't get a single response. I think I don't look at it. I don't look at it as it pushes me away and discredits what I do or discourages me. I always look back and use it as like a learning lesson and say, okay, what did I write in that message that didn't work? Right? That's initially number one. I never say like, oh, I didn't get an email back. Right? Never. In terms of what I love the most, actually, what I don't like is there's a lot of what people might not know, but those of you who do have agencies, you will know this. I hate repetition. I hate repetition in the, I guess, administrative side of things. Like a lot of your messaging is always going to sound kind of the same and that kind of jazz. What I love about the type of work that I do and the Humble agency is the fact that not one person is the same, so it's always a new experience. And that's the best part.
Awesome. I think you have a promotion that I think Sharky will talk to us about.
Yeah, so Terry is actually a pretty good photographer. I've seen some of his interesting pictures. Do you have a link to those pictures that we can share with everyone? And one of the side things that he does is portrait photography, and it looks pretty cool. I'm not sure if he offers that to his clients or not, but I know a lot of our members have messaged me and are looking for pictures. So maybe you can kind of help us out with that.
And to maybe put into the Facebook channel. I know we're on AirMe, but to the larger audience. But yeah, any final words before we wrap up in terms of how do people find you? Of course, put it into our Facebook channel afterwards. But since we're streaming on 4 different channels,
I'm on it.
verbally tell us how to get a hold of you. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my photography website. I do a couple different sectors. I do headshots, I do weddings, I do creative portraits. I do the occasional boudoir photo shoots as well. Mainly kind of, I still do it, but I don't really do it that much. I like more so doing like cosplay stuff, really fun, aggressive things. You can find my website lkphotography.ca, and you can also find me on Instagram at Create with Lefteris. I believe there was a post about Sharky. I think you made it earlier today about something who wants 100 extra followers or whatever. I ended up putting my Instagram link in there. Yeah, I like being, super creative and doing something different. I like very polished looks, and just bringing empowerment, especially with what you guys are looking at right now. I love the empowerment stuff. I love kind of putting you out in your own element. Creatively, I just love doing different things creatively. I actually ate that. That was insane.
Where is that? That looks so yummy right now.
That is a burger joint called the Bulgur. There is 2 locations. There's one on the Danforth by, I guess by Logan and Danforth, and then there's one on Queen Street. I'm also a drone pilot certified.
Oh, cool.
So if anybody ever is looking for, drone work for anything that they do, I know obviously the footage is a little laggy because we're watching it on a stream. In terms of headshots, I have a 5 for 125 promotion. So it's a quick 30-minute session. You get 5 headshots. It works for any type of your socials, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever, whatever other platform you use is good enough. As well, I crop images to make sure that it works within those specific platforms. And those are the darker image, the darker video, which was the second one. Is I also am a certified colorist for film and television, so I do work on short films and feature films as well. That is a horror short that I did. Surprisingly, the lights were completely on in this scene.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's actually called a day for night look. So everything is completely bright. We shot this at about 6 p.m. So there was still even like a little bit of light coming through the windows and whatnot. So these are just like kind of the things that I do.
So I just want to add here that, let's see, I'm distracted. I can't multitask. When something's moving, I can't think. Looking at his work. So I've been doing photography, since I was in university. That's like a long time, 15, 20 years ago, maybe. I'm a pretty old guy. One thing that I've noticed, and I've always have to hire videographers and photographers, and I do the art myself. So you can tell when someone's passionate about what they do, you can tell, and you can get a good product. When someone's not passionate about what they do, they'll do it, but stuff doesn't look good, and there's a lot of back and forth. And I can tell from Terry's work, he loves what he's doing. He loves what he's doing. You can see all the kind of creative, artistic ways that he does everything. And for him, so for 5 pictures, I've seen people charge up to thousands of dollars for 5 pictures for that. And as for now, one thing that I've noticed is the importance of pictures, because we're more social media focused because of the pandemic. You can't go outside anymore. You can't meet people face to face. It's all through online. If you look at all these services that we have online, everything's through pictures and videos. And it's more important now than ever to have good pictures for your social media or for any online presence. So for him to offer, so it's only 150 for five.
125.
120. Oh, even lower.
less. 125. 5 for
Yeah.
Whoa.
5 for 125. It rhymes, right?
Amazing.
That's why I did it.
Those photos are amazing, and you are a man of many talents. So
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing and coming today to tell us about the Humble Agency and all that you do. I'm sure. I hope people are excited to take advantage of that promo or anything else that you're offering, because you definitely have a lot to bring to the table. So thank you so much for your time, Terry.
No, thank you.
And for
one thing to quickly add in for all of you entrepreneurs, I don't know if you do follow this trend, but I will say videos are way more engaging in 2021 than ever before. So if you are going to be considering creating content, I would highly recommend getting a lot more videos in your arsenal than photos. Keep your photos on the back burner, but if you want that hardcore engagement, videos is most definitely where it's at.
That's great advice. Thank you, Terry. So that being said, we need to be mindful of everybody's time. So we're going to wrap it up here. But Sharky, did you want to tell everyone about the TES event, TES Connect, coming up next week?
Yeah, for sure. Let me just share my screen with everyone. So the goal of this group is to connect and share ideas to move your business forward, to connect you with other entrepreneurs, people that would help you move forward. That's the only way as a business for us to really accelerate our growth. We can learn it ourselves. It's going to take 10 years, or we can learn it from someone else or listen to an idea. It's going to take us 3 months. And I'm not exaggerating. A lot of things it took me a decade to learn, where someone could just tell me in a week. So that's the goal of the TES group, is to help you connect you with people. If you go to es1.ca, you'll come to this page right here. And you can sign up for our TES Connect event. So that is next Wednesday, where we have a lot of great topics here and great speakers coming out. We're talking about sales. We're talking about We're talking about starting up. We're talking about e-commerce. So that's happening next week. It's more of an informal discussion group with 1 or 2 experts leading the group. So whatever you need help on, insight that you need, it's very informal. So it's going to be helpful for you. It's not a lecture. We're not talking to you. We're not giving information that's not applicable. It's very actionable. So that's next week. And then the second thing is that to apply and be featured on the spotlight, you go to es1.ca/apply spotlight. It'll take you to this page where you enter some information. That's it. Information about what happens. Enter this and you'll be featured as well. We are booked. We are fully booked for April. We're fully booked for May. A part of June, we're booked. So sign up now. Once you're approved, you can book yourself for the end of June. So that's pretty much it. We want to hear your stories and want to help you level up your business.
Yeah, and I think just to sort of reiterate that, the weekly Wednesdays, like this spotlight, like today we had Terry, it's really, again, going back to what Sharky's saying, like building that community and helping spotlight our different members in our community. What better way to showcase all the brilliant people we have in our community than putting you guys on spotlight for a whole hour, where we get to ask you questions, share your feedback and tips. And that's a great way. So apply. Like we said, we're already full for May. That's so wonderful. And then TES Connect is our monthly, every third Wednesday from 5:30 to 7. Terry's been there. Terry's been a speaker there. And again, we feature a few select speakers to, run some of the breakouts. But that is when our members again get to come on, and we do those 30-second intro pitches. I remember the first time we did it, everyone was perfect. We didn't have to cut anyone off, but it's a great time to, again, as we know with entrepreneurs, we need to network. We need to make friends. We need to network, and who knows? I remember that every single time we have these TES Connects, people come out of there networking, and basically it can lead to sales or just really awesome collaborations. That's 100% what we get every single time and it's a tight-knit group. It's a very intimate setting. It's not hundreds of people that come out where you're just in a sea of people. It's a really great opportunity. So if you're wondering, please come on out, and it's free so far. So, I mean, it's a great opportunity to meet new friends. And again, feedback has been, it's just honestly a great time to meet other local people virtually. It's a safe way to meet other people and connect, talk like normal people, and make new friends. So thank you so much. Sharky will be posting all those links. So if you're signing up for the next event or for TES Connect, please do so. Thank you so much again, Terry. Thank you to my co-hosts, Nagin and Sharky. And we will see you next Wednesday.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a
See ya.
great evening. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, are you good? You're on mute.
I'm good. You good?